This is Block 4 over there, Section 1, Wilson's Foreign Policy, beginning with the Virgin Islands being purchased. Woodrow Wilson is an anti-imperialist progressive, and he's a progressive in lots of ways, as we saw in Block 3, but Wilson does not like imperialism. Wilson does not believe that one powerful country should control another. He believes that national groups, wherever they might found, have a right to run and to rule their own affairs. In the case of the Virgin Islands, Wilson was kind of going against his general theory. The Virgin Islands, which are over here in the Caribbean, the Virgin Islands were purchased by the United States in 1917 from Denmark. And the reason that Wilson purchased them was it was a World War I thing, that he bought them so the United States Navy could more effectively protect the Panama Canal and to prevent Germany from seizing them during the war. However, in keeping with his anti-imperialist beliefs, Wilson did give the Virgin Islands a degree of say in how they were ruled by the United States. That degree of a say in how they were ruled also defined the Jones Act, both of them, the 1916 Jones Act and the 1917 Jones Act. The 1916 Jones Act, which President Wilson worked very hard for, concerned the Philippines. If you remember, the Philippines had been taken in 1898. They had been pacified by 1903. And Americans had promised the Filipinos that as soon as the Filipinos were ready, quote unquote, they could start moving towards self-government. The Jones Act of 1916 promises Filipino independence in the future, but goes a long way towards assuring that in 1916 the Jones Act, where the Philippines were made into American territories, promised independence if they could create a stable government. So the Filipino citizens themselves went and, in order to begin doing this, elected a territorial legislature. They elected a lower house, they elected an upper house. The only role of the United States was in the Governor General. The Governor General could veto laws passed by the Filipino legislature, but in reality, as long as the laws were not, crazy, ridiculous, out-of-hand, egregious laws, the American Governor General went along with whatever it was the Filipinos wanted. It was not independence that the United States still had a final veto over what the Filipino government did, but it went a long way towards Filipino independence in that the Filipinos were now writing their own laws, establishing their own rules and regulations, etc., etc. A Filipino army was created that worked and trained alongside the American military in the Philippines, and that's going to play a role in the Second World War. I'm sorry about the cold. The Jones Act of 1917, concerned Puerto Rico. And the Jones Act of 1917 gave Puerto Ricans American citizenship and the right to elect their own upper house. So Puerto Ricans had already been given the right to elect a lower house. The Jones Act of 1917, which Wilson also fought for, gave Puerto Ricans the right to elect an upper house of their legislature and run their own affairs, again, with an American Governor General. And it made Puerto Ricans American citizens, which they are to this day. You can see in these actions Wilson's dislike for colonialism and imperialism, which is going to play a major role after World War I.